Elyndra and Jasper, sister and brother, orphans of battle, sworn to the light. They trained with steel and holy vows, their hearts still scarred from endless nights. A necromancer took their kin and left the world in fire and sin. From that day on, with burning eyes, Jasper swore all dark must die. One quiet dusk her path had crossed, with Rythen, mage of shadowed cost. He spoke with calm, his gaze sincere, his words were peace, not hate or fear. Elyndra felt her heart awake, in him she saw what light could make. Though all the world would call it wrong, their hearts had bound, both fierce and strong. But Jasper heard and filled with rage, a fire he could not contain. He cast a spell, she's not a self, I'll break his chains, I'll free her well. He tracked him down through ash and rain, his sword sank cold, his heart in pain. But Rythen moved with steady breath, he fought with care, not meant for death. Stopped, the ground did tear, the air grew hot, a poison glare. From deep below came Jormungaroth, the Titan killer, serpent wrath. Its eyes found her, Elyndra, near, and all the sky was filled with fear. Rythen turned with no delay, he pushed her clear and took the flame. The monster's breath burned through his chest, while Jasper fought with all his strength. The serpent sank beneath the stone, but Rythen's life was nearly gone. Elyndra held him pale and weak, her tears fell fast upon his cheek. Jasper watched and dropped his blade, he saw the truth of what he'd made. Then silence fell, the light grew dim, the air was thick, the world grew grim. From shadow came a figure tall, Nethergarde, who ruled them all. He looked upon his fallen son and whispered dark to make him one. With breath of night he gave him back, pulled life from death, from endless black. Rythen breathed and opened his eyes, Elyndra's cry filled all the sky. She kissed him hard, she called his name, and Nythor laughed and left the flame. Jasper stood, his wrath was gone, the lines between had been withdrawn. He saw the truth, both shade and shine, are threads that keep the world aligned. Days went by, the wounds grew still, the hearts once hard, now bent to will. Jasper met Aurora's gaze, a witch whose soul was bright with blaze. Elyndra and Rythen walked as one, their story told, their battles done. And from that love both lost and found, a softer world began to sound. Began to sound. In shadowed halls where cold winds came, a tale was carved in whispered flame. They stole fair Elyndra one dim night, Aurora bound the same by necromancers plotting rites in their dark master's name. They called bold Rythen traitor for a love he chose to claim, for her brother felled 1,000 kin in battle's ruthless frame. But just before the dagger struck to steal her final breath, Rythen burst into the chamber, turning doom to burning death. A fireball split the darkness, sent the blade from wicked hand, and scorched the necromancer's palm, a mark he'd always bear. His magic bloomed in purple waves with shades of midnight blue, a beauty in the swirling dark where love and fury grew. And Jasper fought beside him with a fearless, steady stride, two warriors breaking through the night to pull the light inside. Then silence fell like winter frost, the candles lost their glow. The air grew thick as ancient grief that only gods can know. From shadows stepped out Nythor with a gaze both stern and grim, and Rythen felt his spirit crack, though wrath was not for him. The necromancers trembled but continued with their spite. They cursed the god who shaped them, blind to his eternal might. They wished to watch Elyndra fall and leave Rythen to despair, to see her dying in his arms, no hope or breath to spare. Nythor weak for allowing love to bloom, for failing to restrain the path that sealed their coming doom. And blinded by their rage and pride, they lunged into the fray against the god who birthed them, a disastrous fatal play. For gods do not take kindly when their children rise in pride. He cast them down in moments and tore their cores inside. Their magic fled, their lifetime strength left mortal in the end, a hollow echo of the gifts they once dared to defend. Then in one last defiant cry, their leader charged the light straight toward Elyndra's fragile form to end her there that night. But Nythor moved before the two, before a sword could rise, and with the breath of darkness took his soul before their eyes. The same dark breath that long ago brought Rythen back from doom now judged the one who sought to cast his love into the gloom. The shadows stilled, the candles flared, the danger slipped away, and Nythor left the chamber calm, his judgment fully done. The necromancers paid their price, our heroes stood secure. Yet why the god chose mercy's path remains a mystery pure. For Nythor's mind is veiled in night, where mortal thought falls through. A silent truth he keeps alone, and none may know it true.
In a tavern filled with laughter, warmth, and wandering souls of night, Rythen sat with Elyndra, Jasper, Aurora in the light. When a sudden pain came crashing, and he fell with trembling breath, for he knew the sign of Nythor drifting close to mortal death. Far in halls of broken shadows, where the fallen mages dwell, those once blessed by Nythor's power forged a pact too dark to tell. They swore fealty to Morden, ancient god of blood and dread, gave a life without a tremor, sent him forth to strike Nythor dead. Morden tore the air asunder, dragged the god from where he stood, cast him into marble chambers where two timeless powers stood. There the earth began to shudder as the deities clashed in might. Morden sneered at Nythor's mercy, calling love a fatal blight. Then he caught a single moment drove his talons deep and far, piercing through the godly throat like a falling crimson star. Back he turned to claim his payment, took a heart and crushed its flame, while poor Nythor lay there fading, strength departing from his frame. As the echo slowly dwindled through the vast and hollow room, his mind wandered to the memories, weaving life from joy and gloom. Swift with blade and kind of soul, mending wounds and guiding spirits, keeping broken people whole. One dark night she stopped an assassin, yet instead of dealing death, fate entwined her with Mordrekis in one unexpected breath. He abandoned all his orders, she stood firm to vouch his name. For her sake the god gave mercy, offered him a chance untamed. Soon Donora carried a new life, Nythor bade her rest her hands, leave the wounded to her sister, spare the child from magic's trance. Yet one training match turned deadly, young powers burst before their time. Caught Mordrekis unprotected, struck him down mid-frozen rhyme. Though he begged her not to heal him, she restored him utterly, then collapsed with burning magic, twisting wild inside her plea. Before prayer could be spoken, Nythor stepped into the hall. First time younger mages saw him, towering silent over all. There he saved to soothe the chaos, thrashing through her mortal form. Gave his blood to seal the rupture, steady magic's raging flow. Days went by and Donora lifted newborn Rythen to the light, named him with his father near her and their god who watched that night. Then the hall's great doors burst open, Rythen's steps were wild and dire. Elyndra, Jasper, Aurora followed through the fading fire. Rythen rushed to dying Nythor, held his face in shaking hands, begged him softly not to leave him, fought the fate no soul withstands. Nythor smiled, a fading ember touched his cheek with final grace. Silent words passed in a moment, none but they could ever trace. Then the world grew still and hollow as the god slipped into night, leaving Rythen with the echo of his love and vanished life. The echo of his love and vanished light. Before the gate of iron cold, where death keeps secrets dark and old, they stood as one in torchlight pale at Nethergarde beyond the veil, where gods lie bound and powers sleep, and broken vows still softly weep. Said this road may end, but emerald eyes would not bend. She stood her ground, her silent steel, no fear to hide, no plea to kneel. And Elyndra watched her lover fade, by sacred bonds his strength was flayed. His hair turned gray, his magic
dead, not whole, but newly born.
They bore him home through ash and
Elyndra was a paladin, blade steady in her hand, a fighter forged in iron will, protector of the land. Yet now she stood in silent fear beside the narrow bed, where Nythor lay in death like sleep, no living word he said.
Since they had pulled their wounded god from ruin and from flame, Rythen had not left his side nor cared for rest or name. His gloved hands burned with violet light above the fallen form, and every pulse of magic drawn left him frail and worn.
Rythen saw, she called to him, her voice a fragile plea. Beloved, take a moment's rest, come back a while to me. He turned and in his silver gaze the purple embers burned, the look she'd seen but once before the night the fates had turned. The night he tore through blood and kin to shield her from the blade, when mercy died within his heart and darker vows were made. Just each he whispered faintly then, just breathe a little while. He rose and pressed a kiss into her trembling hand with a smile. I am alright, my light, he said, his brow against her own. Do not fear the dark in me, I do not stand alone. She wished to trust the gentle tone that wandered through and through, but her the ragged edge of breath no warrior should know.
She felt the shaking in his hands, the fever in his skin, the silent war his magic fought and slowly lost within.
I fear for you, my darkness was the truth she could not hide, for she was ever his bright dawn and he her shadow tide.
He held the god between the worlds with strength that burned away. He gave his breath to keep him whole and chase the night from day.
But who would stand for him in turn when all his strength was gone? For light and darkness walk as one, and neither stands alone. She left the room with heavy steps, he bowed his weary head, and buried anguish in his palms beside the silent bed. He knew her heart was torn with fear, yet still he would not yield, for debts to gods are carved in bone and never fully healed.
Then sudden warmth upon his shoulder drew him from despair. Two pairs of watchful knowing eyes were standing silent there.
Mother, father,
Breathless word beneath the candle's gleam, as more drunkies knelt before their god within the fading dream.
his mother pressed a kiss upon her son's exhausted brow, and more came through the quiet door to keep their sacred vow. Nixira and her royal kin, Corvin, Demetria too, and necromancers one by one in reverence they drew.
They knelt before their creator's form in solemn ancient grace, and from their throats a rhythm rose to fill the shadowed place. The chanting deep and old as death, both terrible and fair, and in its steady haunting pulse he felt their burden share.
They held the god between the worlds,
Not one but many hearts.
their voices bound the fragile thread no single hand imparts. And as the ancient cadence flowed through stone and mortal bone, the darkness finally closed his eyes.
stand alone.
He did not understand in whose embrace he rested safe, who held him with their hand. He looked and saw two shining eyes with gentle golden fire, and Nythor gazed upon his child with gentle smile and divine might.
Little necromancer, smiled the god in quiet mirth. Did you believe I'd leave you so and abandon all the earth? And sudden joy broke through his chest, like dawn through storm-torn skies. He clung to him with desperate arms, and tears within his eyes.
When Elyndra once again returned across the silent floor, she found no violet blaze of strain, no whispered pleas for more. She paused and saw the god and necromancer side by side,
Curled close in deep healing slumber, all their battles laid aside.